Welcome to the Total Connect Now Domino's employee training. This video will explain the day-to-day operation of your Total Connect Now phone system with its integrated visual performance suite. We will be covering basic phone skills, outbound calling, call types and the visual performance suite wallboard, advanced phone skills, working with the visual performance suite wallboard, user and troubleshooting guides. Now let's get started. Basic phone skills. When the phone rings, pick up the handset to answer and start speaking the Domino's customer greeting. When finished taking the order, return the handset to the cradle. If you need to put a call on hold, press the hold button. Once on hold, the call's line button will turn from red to flashing red. Now return the handset to the cradle. To retrieve the call, press the flashing line button on any phone and pick up the handset. You'll hear a short beep and then be connected to the caller. To briefly mute your microphone without putting the caller on hold, press the mute button. The mute button lights red and the muted icon is shown on the display. To unmute the call, press the mute button again. Outbound calling. To place an outbound call, pick up the handset and dial a 10-digit destination number. Do not use any leading digits such as 1 or 9. After your conversation is finished, return the handset to the cradle. To place an outbound call on hold, press the hold button. The outbound line button will begin flashing red. Return the handset to the cradle. To retrieve the call, press the flashing line button on any phone and pick up the handset. You'll hear a short beep and then be connected to the caller. You can speed dial another Domino's store that is on the Unified Office network by dialing ** followed by the 4-digit code for the store. For example, to call a store in Carson, California, dial **7836. Your manager may choose to set up additional speed dials on the unused line keys on your phone. To dial using these keys, simply pick up the handset and press the appropriate speed dial key. Call types and the visual performance suite. Incoming calls are classified into a number of types based on information that has been accumulated about the callers. When a call is assigned to a line, the visual performance suite wallboard makes an audio announcement of the type of call and its line assignment and visually displays caller ID and other information in the line status area. While the phone is ringing and during a call, the phone's display shows caller ID information, the line number where you can find the call on the phones and in the Pulse system, and the type of call. The call types you'll see are English order call. These are calls to the main store number from callers that either haven't been seen before or have not chosen to use Spanish. The VPS announces,
"Incoming call on line 1.
The phone's caller ID display uses the prefix E to indicate the call type. Spanish order call. These are calls to the main store number from callers who have previously chosen to use Spanish as the preferred language. The VPS announces,
Spanish call on line 1.
The phone's caller ID display uses the prefix S to indicate the call type. These calls should be answered by CSRs with Spanish language skills. MVP callers. Callers who call several times a week are classified as MVPs. The VPS announces
MVP.
Before continuing with the appropriate call type and line assignment.
MVP incoming call on line 1.
An MVP is added to the beginning of the caller ID display on the phones. MVP callers are given priority in the system. These calls are assigned to lines starting at line 1 and increasing for multiple calls. Your Pulse system will be automatically populated with the caller ID information on the corresponding line. The following call types are assigned starting at line 14 and decreasing for multiple calls. The caller ID information for these calls is not automatically sent to the Pulse system. English manager call. If an English customer calls back soon after an initial call, we assume they have some sort of issue with their order and the call is classified as a manager call. The VPS announces,
Manager call on line 14.
The phone's caller ID display uses the prefix ME to indicate the call type. These calls should be answered by a manager or senior CSR and given high priority. Spanish manager call. Similarly, if a Spanish customer calls soon after their initial call, the call is classified as a Spanish manager call. The VPS announces,
Spanish manager call on line 14.
the phone's caller ID display uses the prefix MS to indicate the call type. These calls should also be answered by a manager or senior CSR with Spanish language skills and given high priority. MVP manager calls. As with order calls, callers who call several times a week are classified as MVPs. The VPS announces
MVP.
before the call type.
MVP Spanish manager call on line 14.
An MVP is added to the beginning of the caller ID display on the phones. Driver calls. Your store has a second phone number for use by drivers on deliveries only. Calls to this number ring as a driver call and are given the highest priority in the system. The VPS announces,
Driver call on line 14.
and the phone's caller ID display uses the prefix D to indicate the call type. Never give this number to a customer. Please get the driver number from your manager and use it when on a delivery and you need to contact the store. Business line. Your store has a third phone number that can be used for other business purposes. When you call this number, you'll be asked to choose 1 if you're a Domino's team member or 2 if you're a vendor or other type of caller. Team member calls have a T prefix, and the VPS announces,
Team member call on line 14.
vendor calls have a V prefix, and the VPS announces,
Vendor call on line 14.
this number should be given to team members and others that have business purposes for contacting the store, but it should not be given to customers. You should get this number from your manager and use it for routine contact with the store. Store-to-store calls. Incoming calls to the main store number that are from another Domino's store on the Unified Office Network are classified as store-to-store calls. The VPS announces,
Store 7836 on line 14.
the prefix ST is added to the phone's caller ID display. Advanced phone skills. Handling calls out of order. If the phone is ringing, but you want to pick up a call on another line, press the line button you want and then pick up the handset. You may choose to do this because there is a call on hold that you wish to return to, or because the currently ringing call type is not appropriate to your skills. You'll hear a short beep and be connected to the caller. Transferring calls. To transfer a call to an outside destination, such as another Domino's store, press the transfer key and dial the 10-digit number, optionally followed by the pound key, to stop the system from waiting for additional digits and immediately dial the number. You may also transfer to another store by pressing the transfer key and then dialing the store speed dial code, ** followed by the 4-digit store ID, optionally followed by the pound key as above. And if your manager has set up speed dials on the unused line keys, you may transfer to those numbers by pressing the transfer key and then pressing the appropriate speed dial key. There is no need to hit the pound key here. Next call. If you're on a call and another call is waiting, you can quickly terminate the call you're on and answer the next call by briefly pressing the hook switch and then releasing it. Your current call will be disconnected, and then you'll hear a short beep and be connected to the new call. Working with the VPS, line status. The line status area of the Visual Performance Suite wallboard indicates the current state of the incoming call lines in the store. When a call is assigned to a line, the VPS makes an audible announcement of the call type and line assignment, as described previously. The various columns of the line status display contain information about the call's current status. The line column indicates the line number where the call can be found on your phone and on Pulse for order calls. The state column indicates the current state of the line. Idle, when there is no call assigned to the line. Ringing, when the call is waiting to be answered. Talking, when a call is connected to a phone and the caller is interacting with the CSR. On hold, when the call has been placed on hold. The type column indicates the type of call assigned to the line. TIS stands for time in state and indicates how long the line has been in its current state. TTA stands for time to answer and indicates how long the call was active before it was answered. Name shows the caller ID name data. Number shows the caller ID number. MVP shows a star icon for MVP callers and is blank for others. When a call is in the ringing or on hold state, the time in the TIS column is color-coded to provide a quick indication of how urgently you need to get to that call. A yellow background indicates that the caller is likely beginning to get impatient. A red background indicates that the caller has been waiting long enough to be annoyed. If a call is left on hold for a long time, you will hear,
Don't forget the call on hold on line 1.
as a reminder to pick up the call as soon as possible. Working with the VPS, service level. The service level section of the VPS shows the store's performance in handling calls over several time periods. The last 30 minutes, today, yesterday, the last 7 days, and the last 28 days. The service level is based on the average time to answer calls and the average time calls spent on hold during the period. Your manager will set performance levels for your store, but typically, if average time to answer is less than 11 seconds and average hold time is less than 24 seconds, the service level is good. If between 11 and 24 seconds for time to answer and 24 and 36 seconds for on hold, the service level is warning. And if greater than that, the service level is unsatisfactory. Working with the VPS, other sections. The clock section shows the current time at your store and whether it is opened or closed. The weather section shows the current weather conditions in your area and a 3-day forecast summary. The service level hourly section shows the store's service levels for today by hour. The summary report shows details of call performance for the last 30 minutes and today. User and troubleshooting guides. To review the material covered by this video, please reference the laminated Total Connect Now Domino's user guide kept by your manager. You may also watch this video again by dialing star 1000 on any phone. Unforeseen issues can occur that could cause some aspect of the Total Connect Now Domino's phone system to malfunction. These include problems with one or more phones, distorted voice, or no VPS display. If any of these issues occur, please follow the basic troubleshooting steps listed in the Total Connect Now Domino's Troubleshooting Guide prior to calling Unified Office support. If assistance is still needed, please call Unified Office at 603-427-9500. This concludes the Total Connect Now Domino's employee training video. Thank you for viewing.